Happy New Year, DC fans and movie fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial here with a show review. Today we are talking about season 1 of Peacemaker, an exclusive show on Max. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are confused about why I'm talking about this show now, especially because I said that we are done talking about the DCEU in general because we just reviewed Aquaman the Lost Kingdom last month. That was the last installment of the DCEU, but surprisingly enough, I did not get a chance to talk about this one installment of the DCEU. This is probably the only one that I haven't talked about, and I'm surprised I didn't cover it earlier. But I wanted to talk about this movie so I can get a full spectrum of my thoughts on the DCEU that I talked about every single movie in the DCU before we start to transition into the new DCU run by James Gunn and Peter Safran. So that's what we're gonna do. And that being said, this is going to be a spoiler review. I am going to talk about some plot points that happened in the show. So if you're one of those few people that haven't seen Peacemaker yet, I mean, it's been out since 2021, so go and watch it on Max and come back to listen to this if you don't want to know anything about it. But the show's been out for a while, so I think it's fair enough that I now talk about certain plot points and Easter eggs and spoilers that happened in the show. So that's what's gonna go down. So without further ado, let's get into Peacemaker. So as far as Peacemaker, the character played by John Cena, well, first of all, I am a fan of John Cena. I'm a wrestling fan, and I did enjoy him in the WWE. Ever since he started to transition into acting, I thought he was doing an okay job. I didn't really think that he was like being very diverse with his roles. Where there were times where he would try to do stuff different, like play more serious action roles, like we did see him in the Fast and Furious movies, and uh, he's starting to get a little better in those, but he still feels a bit clunky here and there. But what I tend to notice is that he works best with comedic roles because I do think that John Cena is genuinely funny. So whenever he's picking roles that are more on the comedic side, I tend to enjoy him more in that than I do in his more serious roles. So lo and behold, when we eventually got the 2021's The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, he was casted as Peacemaker, and I thought he was pretty good in that. Peacemaker is a character I don't really care about. Um, he originally wasn't even a DC character. I think he was in a different like comic run, but eventually he slowly started to get owned by DC Comics. I don't know the whole story with that, but like I guess now he's officially a DC character. But Peacemaker is not really someone that I cared about. But surprisingly enough, how James Gunn handled not only Peacemaker but a majority of the characters in the Suicide Squad, they made me care about C level, D level characters that I didn't care about before. We've heard about I didn't care about Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad, but I ended up loving him after that movie. And it's a very similar thing with this. That with Peacemaker, I started to become more and more interested in that character. Especially, I was impressed with how good John Cena was playing Peacemaker. But I never thought that they would make a show out of him. Because like even though I did like him, like he didn't seem like someone that we would make a show after. Especially if you saw the Suicide Squad, he died. He got shot in the neck. So I thought, oh, okay, he's done. Because James Gunn did say when the Suicide Squad was coming out, is don't get attached to any characters because anybody could die. And John Cena as Peacemaker was one of them. He got killed in the movie, so I didn't even expect for them to make a show after this. But somehow they did. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I didn't really care to watch the show all that much, even though I did like him. I just felt like it was unnecessary for them to make a show. And yeah, I did know that James Gunn was writing and directing like the majority of the show. Like he at least wrote every episode of the show, but he directed most of them. He had a couple of people direct other episodes, but I know James Gunn was behind it, so that's something I should have been make me more looking forward to it. But it was something that wasn't completely on my radar. I was kind of late to watch this because during this time I was having to cover the other shows on Disney Plus, like the Marvel shows and Star Wars shows, and this kind of got lost in the shuffle. That's why you're getting a review now from me. But I was gonna give it a chance because I am a fan of James Gunn, and I did like John Cena's Peacemaker, so they made a show out of him for a reason, right? Because they did see the potential with him as a character. So I was going in it with an open mind, and sitting down and eventually finishing this show, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. Um, like I said, I didn't know where my expectations were going in, but I guess technically it met my expectations or exceeded them because this was a very enjoyable show. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. For one thing, one of the criticisms that I heard about, there's a lot of criticisms that I actually heard about John Cena's Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad. Because some people really liked him, and then some people thought he was very one note and kind of dumb and a bit mean spirited. So that's probably one of the reasons why when this show was announced, a lot of people were really against this show being made. But what I felt like what this show did really well was that it gave Peacemaker more dimension as a character, because in the Suicide Squad, even though I liked him, like he pretty much was like the anti Captain America. He was playing it off really like really mean spirited. He was, it felt like he was just kind of dumb, and it's like his whole mantra of like, I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it. It's like that's kind of something that at face value you wouldn't see getting behind a character like that, because he did really seem one note, and he did seem kind of felt more like a villain than an actual hero. Like I would even say that he was treated like an anti-hero. But in this show, like it showed why he had that mantra, why he was, he goes about quote unquote fighting crime the way he does, in ways like I guess you could kind of compare him to like something like a Deadpool with a mixture of Booster Gold with so it's like he's kind of like he's putting off this persona that he is a superhero, like he's on the same level as some people like the Justice League, but it's obvious that he's not. He's very low tier, like not a lot of people know who he is. He doesn't seem to have any morals, or he doesn't seem like a person that does the right thing. And even in the show, like he makes fun of the Justice League having moral codes and like doing the right thing and not killing everyone if it's unless it's absolutely necessary. um like what I did like about Peacemaker as a character is that since he isn't this larger than life hero like the people of the Justice League, he's more of a street level, lower tier, kind of more of a relatable person. Like he won't hesitate to kill people if it's necessary. um it kind of in a way gives a commentary about like is it the right thing to not kill people when the villains will eventually come back and wreak havoc? Like, is it enough to just imprison them? In a way, they actually did some commentary on that, which is something I actually appreciate, especially when there's this debate going around about Batman's no killing rule and stuff like that. So I kind of like that they drew jabs at that. Another thing that people didn't like about Peacemaker is that he makes fun of members of the Justice League and just saying that like that's insulting the Justice League characters. It's really not, because if you look at Peacemaker as a character, he's someone that would make fun of superheroes, like because he thinks that he's better than them. He's obviously he has an ego and he doesn't know them personally. So of course he's going to throw out rumors and allegations towards the Justice League because he's jealous of them personally. So that kind of just gives a little bit more dimension there. And there was the running joke about Aquaman, fucking fish, and that's obviously not true, but that tends to be a running gag in the show, and I personally had a kick out of that. I get some people were annoyed of that, especially people that were fans of the Snyder era of the DC films. But it's okay to poke some fun here and there. I didn't have an issue with that. But I like that John Cena. They showed that he actually is a good person at heart, even though he does a lot of horrible things. And he even feels remorse about the stuff that he did in the Suicide Squad, like doing the backhanded stuff for Amanda Waller, killing Rick Flag, stopping them um, from defeating Starro and stuff like that, and like he even feels remorse about other people he's killed in the past. So they gave him more dimension. And I definitely really appreciated that. As far as like his actual like quote unquote abilities and what he does, as far as the helmet that he has, I'm starting to like the helmet more because in the Suicide Squad I didn't really feel like there was a lot of tactical use for that helmet. I thought it looked a little bit goofy, but I liked in this movie that they gave more variety with the helmets because he has different helmets that have different like abilities and stuff like that. Like one has like X-ray vision, one has like one is able to levitate objects, one that turns him into a human torpedo. So there was a lot of cool stuff with the helmet that I definitely digged. Um, and of course, he's a great at using a gun. He uses different guns to shoot people and stuff like that. And I guess in a way, it feels like he has superhuman strength, but at the same time, he doesn't. I think that they just show off his strength because he's John Cena and he has big muscles. So that's something I guess you kind of expect with them. But it made the show made him more cool. I'm not gonna lie, like it just overall just made him a more interesting character. And as far as the supporting cast that he has, we have Jennifer Holland as Harcourt, which we've seen her in other DC movies like Black Adam and The Suicide Squad and the end credits of Shazam. I like Harcourt. I think she's pretty good. Of course, she plays the typical hard ass, like she takes things a little too seriously, and it seems like she thinks everyone is dumb and stuff like that. It's that typical type of stuff. But then she ends up warming up by the end of the show, and there's kind of like a kind of a romance being hinted between Harcourt and Peacemaker, which at first I didn't really care about, but as the show went on, it actually ended up being kind of cute and a bit endearing. So, but overall, I think Harcourt is pretty solid. And then we have John, or they call him Diebeard. He's fine. He's pretty solid. Once again, another person with the team that helps with the technical aspects. So he serves his purpose for the most part, even though there is kind of a dumb plot point that they put in here that they're trying to decode Peacemaker's thumbprints because they don't want him to be tracked by the cops and stuff like that, and like he just randomly turns the fingerprint codes into Peacemaker's dad's, which got him in trouble, and he only did that out of impulse. And like, why would he do that out of impulse? It's like there's so many other people they could have thought of to trace the fingerprints by. It's like, why did he choose his dad specifically? So like, I didn't like how impulsive and how much of a scaredy cat he was in certain moments. But as the show went on, and he starts to become more competent, and the overall team dynamic that he has with everyone, it works well enough, I guess. um Daniel Brooks as Leota, who ends up being Amanda Waller's daughter, who ends up having a secret mission for her while helping with the overall mission with the team. Framing Peacemaker and having turning him pretty much into a diversion so that the main team can help with the main mission. Well, overall, Leota as a character, I thought she was pretty good. She's probably my second favorite supporting character in the movie, or maybe third favorite. We'll get to my other two favorites in a minute, but she seemed to be the most interesting out of the teammates in general. As far as like the regular teammates, not I'm not counting Peacemaker and Vigilante, but like as far as like the regular street level people, like she's probably the most interesting. She can be a bit goofy in moments, but like she ends up having the most charisma out of her, Harcourt, and John. And probably I think Leota and Peacemaker have the most personal friendship dynamic going on in the show, and I personally appreciate that. And then seeing that she's dealing with the struggle of doing what Amanda Waller wants to do, and doing the right thing to help Peacemaker and the rest of the team. So I personally really liked all that. We most recently saw her in The Color Purple, and I thought she was great in that. So I'm glad to see her in more stuff as of late. Um, and then we get to, I guess we get to Mern. He's like the head of the mission and the team. And he was the High Evolutionary in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, familiar casting with James Gunn there. But I thought he was pretty good too. Just playing the very hard, stern, you know, head of the team, that typical dynamic. But he served his purpose, and I did not expect for him to eventually end up being a butterfly in the show. Which that's the main conflict of the show, is that they have these alien grasshoppers. They call them butterflies, and they're taking over people's bodies, and they pretty much a whole there's this scheme of them taking over human civilization because they feel like they're so primitive and reactionary, and like they think that their civilization is dying because of their cause, or their lack of doing anything about saving their planet. So they want to come in and take over. I did not expect for Murd to be one of the butterflies that's actually revolting against the rest of the butterflies. So that stuff, that was a good twist, but overall I thought he was solid. Okay, so going to my two personal favorite supporting characters. Um, Vigilante. I thought Vigilante was awesome in this show. I thought he was hilarious. And also he's very kick-ass at the same time. I like that they made him like a nerdy dork and pretty much almost like a fanboy to Peacemaker, but like he's competent in the action scenes. He's very good at hand-to-hand combat. He's very good with a sword. He shoots very well. So I thought they were just gonna make him a complete loser in this, but like he's actually a competent character, and like he complements Peacemaker very well as far as like a partner or hero sidekick dynamic. And I like his suit. I thought his suit looks pretty cool. But yeah, it's like giving me certain influences of Deadpool without completely copying off of them. So I really really liked him. I thought he was great. And another character that I did not expect to care for as much, but I probably shouldn't be surprised because it's James Gunn. Eagly, yes, the CGI eagle. Peacemaker's pet eagle was actually great in this show. Once again, James Gunn doing a great job making me care for, animals, and it's just like Eagly just has so much personality. He's not just a dumb eagle. I mean, he has his dumb moments in the show, absolutely, but like, just how he's, the relationship that he has with Peacemaker, and how he does try to do his best to help the team and stuff like that. But I just did not expect that eagle to have that much personality, and he definitely does. Like, I really really liked Eagly in this show. Um, Now, as far as there's just some minor gripes that I have with it. Like, probably my biggest issue that that it didn't end up being a problem throughout the entire show. I would say like the first couple episodes, because I'll be honest, the first couple episodes it was a struggle for me to. It was kind of a struggle for me to get through. I'm going to be honest with you. You know what? That struggle is too much of a word, but like I wasn't fully getting into it the first couple episodes. There was some intrigue in there, but there was some stuff that kind of annoyed me because it was the dialogue mostly. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because this really felt like at least the first couple episodes, and then it still had it a little bit throughout the show, but like it felt like it had like that old school James Gunn dialogue that I wasn't personally a fan of. Because I'll be honest, I didn't really start to turn into a fan of James Gunn until Guardians of the Galaxy, because I didn't like I didn't like Super. That's a movie that he did, and Slither was fine. And he wrote the 2 live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and I didn't like those. And it reminded me of that kind of dialogue where it just feels like a lot of improvising and a lot of just like going on tirades about random stuff that doesn't matter. Like there'll just be random comments about stupid stuff that they bring up. Like that type of dialogue where they're just talking about random things like whatever, like pop culture references or talking about social words. Like there's this random conversation they have about pronouns, and it goes on for almost a minute, and I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? So it's that type of James Gunn dialogue that I wasn't really digging the first couple episodes, but as the show kept going on, like they started to do less and less of that, and it eventually ended up making giving the show its personality, because it is more of a wacky comedy show with it's a superhero show with with comedic elements. It's superhero comedy, I guess I would say. And for me, I think it worked. There's more times that it worked when it didn't work. Um, but overall, I thought it still was a funny show, even though it had like that weird dialogue exchanges there and there. Um, Another thing that I appreciate that I feel like a majority of the Marvel films are lacking, the pacing in this is so much better than they were in like some of the Marvel shows, for example. Because like with the Marvel shows, they felt like they were 4 to 6 hour movies truncated into a show, but this actually felt like a show. Like it was paced very well like a show. It didn't feel like there was a bunch of filler going on. It didn't feel like, the show didn't feel lopsided. Like the first half felt like it was boring, and then the second half or towards the end of the show, it ended up being exciting. Like they were actually able to have they were able to balance the important stuff and the action sequences very well in the show. I definitely appreciated that, and the action was actually done really, really good. I don't know what the budget was for this, but I'm sure it wasn't as big as the Suicide Squad, for example. Like I didn't think that there was any cheap CGI, and like as far as the hand-to-hand combat and stuff like that, it was actually directed really well. And like there was some shaky cam here and there, but there was the shaky cam that I think is tolerable, where it's like it helps to enhance the scenes. It didn't feel like it was trying to hide the choreography or stuff like that. So that I really liked. And once again, that something that was carried over into the show, that was carried from the Suicide Squad. This is a adult show. This is a bloody show. They curse a lot. It's definitely an adult show, and I absolutely digged it. And it didn't feel overly gratuitous either. Like it was the right amount of blood. It was the right amount of cursing. So I'm glad that we're able to have a superhero show that that didn't feel like it was forced to appeal to families, because Peacemaker is not for families. So it would feel very jarring for a character from the Suicide Squad, which was a hard R film, and then to have them do like a PG-13-ish show. Like that would feel very out of place. So I like that they weren't afraid to be adult in this. Another thing that I did really, as I said earlier, I did find the overall plot with the butterflies, I thought was interesting. This whole alien invasion happening with these grasshopper aliens taking over people's bodies, and them hiding this giant slug worm that's made of nectar, that the butterflies, that's their only food supply. Because they say that the water and the air supply is good on Earth, but their food was not able to help them survive, so they have to bring this giant alien slug thing with nectar for them to eat stuff to survive. So that stuff I did not expect. I didn't expect for them to go as alien as they did. But at the same time, it didn't feel too big. It feels like a threat that Peacemaker and the gang, I think it felt like a threat that they can manage, that you can buy them being able to defeat this threat. Like unlike something like in the 2016 Suicide Squad, where the squad was going against Enchantress, where that didn't feel realistic at all. And okay, I know people are about to point out Starro in the Suicide Squad, but even then, like I said it when I reviewed that, it felt like, once again, that felt like a threat where I could, suspend my disbelief enough where I can buy that they're able to defeat Starro in the way that they did. So it was a similar thing with this in the show as well. So I'm glad that while it is alien invasion, it did feel like a more intimate threat. It felt more street level. So I personally like that. And there was another subplot with Peacemaker's father, who is another villain called the White Dragon, which is a borderline KKK influenced villain. Of course, if you watch the show, you definitely see the influences there. But at first, I felt like that's a villain that they didn't really need to put in the show. To be honest, they probably could have saved him for season 2, but like he didn't really feel shoehorned in because I like that they gave time to develop the relationship or lack of relationship between Peacemaker and his father, because they established that his father really doesn't like him at all. Like he can't stand him. So there really isn't a relationship there because they revealed that Peacemaker, had a brother when he was younger, and he accidentally killed his brother, and his father hated him for that ever since. And so once again, just bring another dimension, to Peacemaker as a character and him feeling remorse about the stuff that he's done in the past. So I definitely dig that. And they also made clear that his father was a racist too. So once again, more and more of that KKK influence. But overall, they're just establishing that his father is not even a good person at all, and Peacemaker shouldn't even be trying to, you know, gain any relationship with his father at this point because of how much of a bad person that he is. So I liked that we dove into that more. It's like this is the type of stuff I just didn't expect for them to explore in a show like this. It's just very very surprising. It's a good surprise too. It's not just one dimensional. Where I feel like the other shows that I've been watching over the past couple of years with Marvel, like they've just been feeling very one dimensional. So it's like this ended up being my favorite superhero show one of my favorite superhero shows the past couple of years, because I did love Miss Marvel and I did love What If, for example. And of course Invincible is great, which is a whole other thing. I have not watched The Boys yet, but I do plan to watch it at some point. But yeah, this is the type of storytelling with superhero properties that I think we need to see. It's like it's not just treading the same type of stories, which is something I definitely appreciated. As far as, I guess, Easter eggs, of course, we mentioned earlier that Leota is the daughter of Amanda Waller, so that was something that was unexpected. And Viola Davis actually makes an appearance in this show, which that's something I didn't expect either. But I'm glad she was able to be in it. She's not in it a lot. She's probably in like a couple of scenes, but the times that she was in it, she was really good. And I'm glad that she's going to come back in the new DCU, because she has her own show coming up as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she does in that. And then of course the one big cameo scene that everyone is talking about with the Justice League coming at the end after Peacemaker and the team already defeated the Butterflies, and obviously it's just a silhouette. You don't see everyone's face, and it's just Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman that show up, and you're mainly seeing their silhouettes. But actually Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller as Aquaman and the Flash, they actually make an appearance at the end, and they can't get Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot because of reasons that we already know about. But I guess that was kind of amusing that they got them at the end, I guess. And Aquaman addressing the running gag of the rumors that he fucks fish, and then Ezra Miller's the Flash saying like, "Wait, that's actually true. That's actually true, isn't it?" And he says, "Fuck you, Barry." So that was kind of funny. And once again, I know that the Snyder fans are going to look at that and be like, "Oh man, that's so dumb. That's so silly. Why is that in there?" Like, lighten up, guys. That's all I got to say. Just lighten up. Have some fun. Like, come on now. Um, yeah, that is kind of a bummer that they couldn't get Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, and then Batman and Cyborg wasn't even in there at all. Like, Ray Fisher, no Ben Affleck, none of that. It's a shame. That's a similar thing that they did with the Shazam movies, where they just sold, from the body down Superman, we didn't see Superman's head, but like I don't know, it didn't bother me that much. They did what they could with that, I guess. Um, but yeah, overall, I thought this was a really good show. I was definitely surprised. I didn't expect that much from it, but you know, with this show, it made Peacemaker a more interesting character, and I ended up really liking the supporting cast. From Vigilante and Hardcore and John, Leota, even Mern. I really, really liked this team. They worked off each other really, really well. I cared about, when they were in danger and stuff like that. And the danger did feel more real because of the more violent, mature, tone of the show. So that's what I really liked. And Peacemaker is coming into the DCU as well. So season 2 is actually officially going to be in the new DC universe. So I'm interested how they're going to transition into that. But I'm hoping to see everyone from this season back in season 2. Because they work off each other really, really well. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I thought the storytelling was done really well. The comedic stuff for the most part was really good. There was some weird dialogue here and there with this random improving and tirades about stuff that doesn't really matter, but it gave it its charm at the same time. Yeah, so the action was good. The villain was pretty good. The whole conflict with the butterflies I thought was interesting. And while it was an alien invasion, I'm glad it wasn't too big. It wasn't an end of the world type of thing. At least like it didn't feel like it was bigger than what it actually is. So, but yeah, I didn't expect to like Peacemaker, more now as a character, but this show really did it. So I am going to give Peacemaker season 1. I'm going to give it a B plus. I thought it was really, really good. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Peacemaker season 1. But tell me, what did you guys think about it if you guys have watched it already? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the other installments of the DCEU? Are you looking forward to season 2? Are you glad that Peacemaker is coming into the new DCU run by James Gunn? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. So, I am now officially done talking about, the DCEU films. What am I kidding? That probably am going to mention it a little bit in the future. Let's not kid ourselves. But as far as like going in depth with the DCU, I think I'm done at this point. Now we can move forward, and we can look forward to the stuff coming in the next couple of years with Creature Commandos, the Waller TV show, and of course the first movie of the DCU, Superman Legacy. So I'm excited to see where we're going to go from here. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for helping me reach 500 subscribers. Let's get to 1,000. And don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all I have for you DC fans, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.